Tell me, are you as jacked as Donnie Donnerson? Don't worry, I'm not either. What's up, guys? I'm Hunter here, and here we are to do a little, it's not going to be little, a little breakdown and review of chapter 132 of 4 Apocalypse Nights. Walk into a bar. No, here we are to review chapter 140. I keep saying 40. 132 of 4 Nights of the Apocalypse, which is known as the Resistors. And this chapter, it's got some juice in it. Just a little, it's a little bit moist, if you will. Moist, if you will, because it has some nice little juicy bits and details that got me thinking some more, and got me asking questions about previously established things and a whole bunch of junk. So let's not waste an ounce more of time. Can you measure time and wait? Let's not waste any more time, and let's hop right into it. Editing me. Ready? 3, 2, 1, go. What's up, guys? That guy with a pencil here. And another fun fact about that, I do happen to have it on me and keep it on me at all times. And another fun fact, Miss Angela tends to have it on her and keep it on her at all times, because she's no scientist, but experimenting in Camelot, what she does, yes. And with that being the case, there's certain little details that I like about this cover page in particular. Number 1, I love how they're still running. Notably, you see past Anne, 2 years past Anne, running full speed, doing the full dash, making it go fast. And I love how Anne, despite being 2 years older, taller, likely stronger, faster, a better understanding of her magic, more knowledgeable than she ever was before, in spite of all the improvement she's gotten over these past 2 years, she's still running. She's still resisting, because the battle is nowhere near over. They're still locked in this deadlock with Camelot. And once again, going back to the design details and how it's been forced to change and has been forced to evolve with it. Note, the only things that are uniform across both of these designs are, well, generally, like they have the same eye shape, but the hair, cowlick, the braid, and the corset. I think literally everything, and the sword. I think literally everything else is different. From the shoes being different from originally with a white top versus the black top, and the shaded bottom, I'm not sure what color this is, but shaded bottom versus the non-shaded bottom, to the, I think they're called thigh-high socks. The thigh-high socks being black, or whatever color they're going to end up being. They're probably going to be red, most likely, once they get translated to the anime. Because I think, what color was Anne's coat in the manga? Well, actually, Anne's coat was like a weird off color. Like, it wasn't actually, no, I think it actually was like black, and then it ended up getting translated to red in the anime. So maybe this is red. But right now, a darker, solid thigh-high sock versus the, calf exposing white thigh-high sock. So it's still the general same concept, but the color of the fabric and the exposing of the fabric is different from the kind of unitard look. Is that how you say it? Leotard. Is it a leotard or Hold on. I need to double check something. Googler. I activate you and I summon you to this plane of reality. What is... Yeah, it is a unitard. There we go. Well, actually, no, it is not. It's kind of, sort of one? I'm not sure what it is. I don't know what you would call, is it leotard? Leotard, I think. Maybe a leotard. I don't wear these. I'm sorry, I'm not a fashion guy. You see me wear the same darn shirt every single day. So hold on, let me make sure I'm not speaking too wrong on this before and I'm getting clowned on in the comment section. Yeah, so she went from wearing a leotard, not a unitard, with the corset, to wearing, I'm not sure if this is still a onesie. I don't know, for some reason Agaba, he's been obsessed with the onesies as a reason. But I assume it is a black top and then a black skirt versus the all white unitard. And then, of course, the larger, heavier gloves that seem to cover and act as a guard for her hands, to more streamlined, simple gloves that are just gloves. They're essentially just there for extra grip and likely a little bit more cold resistance, I guess, because her original gloves barely had that. They kind of just exposed her hands to the world entirely, and she kept what was utilitarian. the cowlick, because she can't control that, the braid, because it helps, I guess, and the sword. Everything else has changed. And even with all that's changed, she's still running. She's still resisting. And that's both a good thing and a sad thing. Because, like, great, she's still keeping up the good fight, and she's still moving forward. But the only reason she has to move forward is because there's no time to stop and look back. Because if you stop and look back, then who knows what could happen to you. But with that being the case, also notice the addition of this little pack that she has on her. I wonder what that could contain. But with that being the case, let me stop talking about the cover page and let's actually hop into the chapter itself. So we open up and we do get to see that the big old fella right here, I don't think, has he gotten a name? I forget. He's just Big Bro or Young Man. Like, I don't think this guy's gotten a name yet. And he may just be so irrelevant that he never will get one. He's just going to be insert Britannian Camelot citizen here, and that's all he's going to be. But with that being the case, he says, Team Percival of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse, you're telling me you're part of those rebels? Rebels? Like, they're gonna, you were a rebel. Like, you tried to leave Camelot. Buddy, pal, you were a rebel. You're not part of those rebels. You're part of the rebels, because you were trying to incite a rebellion just by leaving. You think you have free will? You think you have the ability to choose where you want to live and go? Not when you sign that Camelot contract, bucko, you're cooked. But with that being the case, we see that Anne is like, we could have this conversation here. We really, really could. But let's go somewhere else. We stick out too much here. Which is interesting, right? Because it seems like that only night, the one night that was there, that Anne Lodived last chapter, it seems like that was the main defense for this area. But even still, Anne's worried about eyes essentially being everywhere, to the point where she's like, let's not do this. Let's not take the risk right here, right now. Let's dip out of here. And we see that the guy, I don't know. And again, this guy is definitely in emotional distress. And once again, he presumably grew up by himself with his sister. And he was what, maybe like 6 or 7 before he ended up turning into a full-grown adult. So like, sure, he's physically and biologically aged, but mentally he's probably still not as developed just due to the coddling of Camelot and the overall stagnancy in his life. But like, with that being the case, I understand his reactions being so like curt and rude and stuff like that. But like, dude, this woman just saved your life, and your first response is, you think you'll get away with this? That was a holy knight of Camelot. And Anne brings up the very logical and concise point of, if I didn't help you, you'd be on your way to the cauldron of Anfuin right now. You would have been, quite literally, cooked in a cauldron. I'm not even memeing right now. You would have just been cooked. And with that being the case, he realizes that, wait a minute. And none? I've never heard of that place. And presumably, yeah. Because at least in my opinion, from what it sounds like, especially what Anne goes on to reveal about the Cauldron of Anfuin, it feels like a place that you aren't supposed to hear about until it's necessary to hear about. And then once you do hear about it, you're supposed to be there. And probably once you leave, I don't think you're supposed to tell anybody, if you're allowed to leave at all. If I had to take a guess, right? Because it's kind of like, you know, I always go back to this because it's a very popular example that a lot of people seem to know. You know the whole, like, there is no war in Ba Sing Se, that, like, hypnotism thing that they do in Ba Sing Se to people who, like, come from the outside and try to bring in war and the ideas of the great 100-year war that's been going on. Like, I feel like it's something like that for the Cauldron of Anfuin. Like, we have a disconcerter. Do you still want to believe in the war? And of course, the disconcerter would go, yes, I do want to believe in the war. It's a real thing that's been happening for the past 100 years. Just like you would be taken away to the depths of Ba Sing Se in order to be helped, educated, retrained, if you will. I feel like the same thing happens with the Cauldron of Anfuin, where you are taken there, your mind broken, and then you're just going to be put back into society. They're going to throw you back out there, but you're going to be fundamentally changed, and most likely you are going to tell people about that because you're going to be fundamentally changed. So I'm assuming that's what the Cauldron of Anfuin is. And how many people it has in it? I don't know. Very, very interesting. But with that being the case, we see Then Anne once again goes on to explain, it's a prison where they send the people who distrust or question Camelot. You'd never know about it if you accept this land and remain happy with it. Which, once again, makes sense. You don't, like, it's kind of like you don't want to threaten somebody if there doesn't need to be a threat given to them, right? Like, then you just add more turmoil for no reason, right? Because the Cauldron of Onfuin is a threat. It is a threat, and it is a promise. Actually, no. As a wise man once told me, oh no, it's not a threat, it's a promise. So I'm assuming the Cauldron of Onfuin is something that you aren't supposed to hear about until it's too late. By the time you hear about it, it's already way too late. But with that being the case, if you just come to Camelot, you accept the beauty of this wonderful kingdom of dreams and illusions and lies, then ultimately there's no worry at all. Why bother? Go ahead, enjoy yourself, give in to the darkness. Vexen almost came out. I stopped him this time, but Vexen almost came out. But with that being the case, I'm very interested to see how Arthur came up with this. And like why, well, not why he did. The why is obvious, right? Like it's a re-education camp. If that. Because maybe we don't get full implications that you go there to be re-educated, but like I think that's literally what the knight says. Like, oh, you need to be taken to the cauldron, so we can help you, bro. And notably, it's only the guy who's supposed to be taken to the cauldron. The girl, who's likely an illusion, doesn't. Well, we'll get into that because there's a certain mention brought up later where I'll talk about like the status of Camelot things and why they can move into the real world and why they can't move into the real world and what this is about Yodra, who is part. Like, there's so many weird things that are going on now, which got me rubbing my hands together. Once again, this chapter is juicy. It's very, very juicy, and I love it. With that being the case, we see that the guy now suddenly has an epiphany, like, so that holy knight, he was coming for me? Yes, he was. Like, dude, he showed up for you and literally appeared after the fact. Bucko. She literally just told you it's for a place for people who distrust or question Camelot. You question why your mama wasn't there. Of course he showed up. What's the rocket science? But once again, I gotta remember, this guy probably didn't have a formal education. I doubt formal education's a big part of Camelot curriculum. In fact, they probably want you to be stupid. So you don't question things as much. So like, I'm guessing just he's probably like, he may be physically an adult, but he may be the mental age of like 12 or 10. I think back to 12 or 10-year-old me and his thought processes, and I'm like, it wasn't the sharpest spoon in the kitchen shed. Maybe it's a good idea. Maybe it's a good idea that we keep him on the low though. Would that be the case? We see that Anne's like, of course, you idiot. And I bet you now know why. Which is true. And we see that Anne admits, God, oh my God. No. Okay. No, they don't say it, but I've seen it in the comments. And the implications seem way too clear to me, considering what it is confirmed to be later in this chapter. Let's just read a pencil. Let's just get through it. My friend is likely being held in there. That's why I want to know where it is and how to escape it. They got my son. Oh, I'm not talking about the daughters. They got Nasiens. Nasiens, what did you do? How, Nasiens? How? How did they get you, bro? Why didn't you just belladonna them? Henbane them? Something, though. Oh, Nasiens, I swear, I hope you went out cool, broski. Why they had to get my side? I was so happy to see time skip Nasiens. And we may see him soon still anyway. But like, I was so happy to see time skip Nasiens, bro. He's in jail. He's being cooked alive, quite literally in the cauldron. Why not my son? How could they do my boy like that? I'm sorry. I'm emotional. They got my boy. And the reason I'm so confident that it's Nasiens and not necessarily like Gawain or Tristan or Isolde or Kion or Donny. One, we see Donny in this chapter. And two, because notably she says, when asked, your friend? And with a smile says, yes. Oh, Lord, my stomach did not like the way I said yeah. Oh, Jesus. Sorry. I'm sorry. Oh, body, what are you doing? But oh, Lord. Please stop. Why are you doing this? My body, I have such a negative reaction to Nasiens being in jail that my body's actually rebelling against me. But we see that Anne says, yes, someone I cherish. And don't get me wrong, she probably does cherish Isolde. She's the only, like, female friend Anne has made ever. Like, I mean, Gawain counts, legally speaking, but, like, Gawain's a little bit too demonic. So Isolde is probably a cherished female friend, the only one that Anne has at the moment that isn't also trying to, you know what, with Gawain. And Tristan, she probably does care about Tristan and Kion and the rest of the group, but, like, we know the Percy platoon. She introduces herself still as a member of the Percival squad, and the only one that's currently missing after this chapter is Nasiens, so presumably he is the one who's locked away. Plus, I think it'd be a much bigger deal if one of the remaining 4 knights were locked away. Like, I don't think it's Lance. I don't think he probably cares for Lance / Sin. Because one, they wouldn't be able to capture him. And two, just because, like, that would be a much bigger deal if their strongest fighter was suddenly taken off the table, or their second strongest fighter was suddenly taken off the table, or their third strong. And Gawain is confirmed to have made the magic carrot, so I'm assuming that she's fine too. But we'll get to the magic carrots in a bit. So yeah, my boy Nasiens, he's cooked. I hope. I mean, I wouldn't be mad at villain Nasiens, like especially if Cauldron's just a jail, then that's one thing. But if it's literally just like a re-education camp, then like I wouldn't be mad at villain Nasiens, or like a delusional Nasiens who like has his Percy back, or like something like that, where like the Cauldron is meant to convince you of all the beauties and wonders of the lies and illusions that are Camelot, and like he ends up coming out being like, "What do you mean, guys? Percy's right here," and Percy's not right there, or like Percy is there but it's clearly not Percy, like something of the sort like that. I wouldn't be shocked if we went down that route. But man, I just want my goat Nasiens to be okay, broski. Ugh. You know what? I've been hoisting up his end flag for a hot minute now. Like, I swear, I've been saying Nasiens getting cooked ever since Jade got cooked. Like I've been saying he's the next one to go, and it's considering we're on 132. Jade got cooked like what, the 100s? So like, it's been darn near a year now me saying that, oh yeah, Nasiens is getting cooked next, Nasiens is getting cooked next. But like, maybe this is worse. Maybe if he was cooked, I wouldn't have to worry about this. But with that being the case, we see that the girl just says, "Oh, cool. Anyway, come to our house." And Anne says, "Why, thank you." Now, presumably this isn't. Part of me wonders how much of this girl is actually the girl. Like, how much of this is genuinely this guy's little sister? Because of something that gets revealed here. And the reason I mentioned, well, I'll get into it in a second. You're not much like what I've heard. You're not much like what I've heard. I guess that is a coherent sentence, but that just, it feels weird coming out of my mouth. I can't say the word coming anymore. I just can't. The word, it has so many connotations to it. I can't even just say it. I need to like move on past it. I can't think about the word for too long or that hard. Whatever. I'd hardly think you're trying to bring Camelot to ruin. and I love how Anna immediately debunks that idea. She's like, oh no, we will destroy Camelot. Don't get me wrong. We have to if we want to save Britannia. So, double-layered statement. Number one, despite everything that's going on in there and all the good it's doing for some people, Anne is still all about the business. She wants Camelot gone, cooked, annihilated. Of course, for what it did to her friends and the threat. But the secondary thing, we have to if we want to save Britannia. Now, obviously, this could have a multi-layered meaning, as in Britannia in general could get wiped from existence if Camelot ever gets fully formed. Or two, it's just the fact that Britannia is literally getting taken away piece by piece. Like, literally, Arthur's, like we saw at the start of the time skip, there are just whole sections, whole chunks of land just missing. Arthur's just, no. He's like Pac-Manning very specific areas of Britannia. So, the question is, though, with the destruction of Camelot, would everything automatically get restored, or would things just like fall piecemeal, or would they just like collapse in on themselves? Because we don't know. Especially considering what's established with a certain mechanic later on in this chapter, we don't even know how Arthur's playing Jenga with the pieces of Britannia. Is he using them to build these little sections? Is he not? Presumably, if he was, this guy's mom would still be here, but she isn't. So I don't know. Very, very interesting stuff. With that being the case, we see that the guy is suddenly worried. He's like, oh, wait, what's going on in Britannia? Our mother's there, waiting for our return. Bold of you to assume that one, Buckaroo. Bold of you to assume that one, Buckaroo. I'm just gonna say that. I ain't gonna say too much on it. But what I am gonna say is that's pretty bold of you to assume, Buckaroo. I wouldn't be so confident your mom's still alive. I'll be completely real with you. I ain't trying to show you no missed tales or missed deeds, but I'm just saying. That's a pretty bold assumption to make. But we see, well, we know, luckily enough, we have that overpowering, we're in a higher dimension than these characters think, where we've seen what's happened to Britannia, though Anne doesn't even bother. And once again, it is horrific to think about. Like, imagine if you just looked outside your window and, like, your neighbor's house was gone. Or, like, your neighboring apartment building. Or if you just, like, went to work one day and, like, one of the anything, like, of structure was just missing. And with that structure, a whole piece of the land. And then imagine that just kept happening more and more and more and more and more until essentially you were living so isolated that you probably couldn't even go to the grocery store, because between you and the grocery store is like a 5 billion deep foot cavern. We don't know how deep or how much a land Arthur generally takes every time he just whoop. Presumably enough that he doesn't like start causing magma spouts, but like still, it'd be pretty rough, pretty horrifying. With that being the case, we see that she says, well, you'll see for yourself soon. And we see that the guy's like, oh, so you'll take us there? Great, W mans. I don't care that you're rebels anymore. Hopefully you guys do this with absolutely no questions. And we see that Anne makes the hard statement, and honestly, a question. She says, I will, but you have to be completely honest with me. Just in case, I want an assurance that you don't serve Arthur. Now, at first, in the live reaction, which you can check out over on the Patreon for as low as $1 a month, or become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to check out the live reaction, which is about 30 minutes. Jeez, they keep getting beefier and beefier with time. But with that being the case, the live reaction, I was initially getting on Anne's case for this because I'm like, come on, Anne, how in the world are you supposed to prove that he's not working for Arthur? He could just lie to you. Like, Shimmy Neutron, brain blast moment, I realized, oh yeah, shoot. She literally has truth magic. So yeah, Anne is actually the perfect person to be asking and interrogating people if they work for Camelot. Though I want to see her magic used on the sister. Because, well, actually no, we cut up to the sister herself, which is interesting enough. Once again, we'll get back to the point of the sister. I'm going to come back to why I think she's so important to this whole thingamajig. But we see that the sister is currently... Chair. Enough! I beg of you! Would that be the... Stop it! Please. Do I have to rise up? Oop. That lowered me even more. Are you going to stop? I'll try not to move too much, please. Let's see. With that being the case, the sister is currently going with the strongest character in all creations, the most transcendental being in the verse in his true form. As she says, wow, what pretty soft wings. Hey, horsey, what's your name? Does the word Pegasus just not exist in this world? This is like it's not like he's a unicorn. Like he's just a Pegasus. I don't know. Like you know what Nephilims are, even though like presumably the reason that word came about doesn't exist in this timeline or universe. But you don't know what a Pegasus is? Y'all got all types of mythology, but not Greek mythology? Nah, but with that being the case, we see. See, the thing is, he does whinny though. He still does make horse noises, so I don't know. But we see that the Chad, the mightiest creature in all creations, declares, listen, girl, and be amazed. I am Svan, the strongest of all winged horses. I guess Pegasus it's just not a thing. It's just not. I don't know why I'm getting caught up on that so much. It feels the only reason is because I try to use like phrasing and words and stuff like that to world build sometimes, like the utilization of Nephilim and see how like disgraced that is. That Nephilim as a concept was explored relatively well in the demon world and how much of a negative connotation that was because it was ties to the goddess clan. So like I look for words and stuff like that, and the absence of the word Pegasus here just feels like a funny inclusion or exclusion to me because it feels like why wouldn't you just use it? Like all winged horses, like dog. There's a whole separate species name for y'all. And this is a world of magical creatures. Like you tell me y'all never encountered a Pegasus? But with that being the case, we see that the little girl is amazed. Oh, wow, you can talk. Which is, yeah. I don't know. Like, I would always, like, especially when I did have my dogs, I would always, like, especially when I was younger, I'd look at them and be like, go ahead. You can talk to me. Yeah, go ahead. Don't worry. You don't just gotta bark no more. Let's have a whole conversation. I know we can. You just hiding it from me. You're trying to keep me safe. Don't worry. They won't come get me if you speak to me, bro. It'll just be between you and me. It'll just be between you and me. I promise. But like, if any of my dogs or any pets I've ever earned and or owned, if any of them like actually turned around and like spoke a word to me, like a solid word, like it doesn't have to be a full sentence, you don't have to have a full conversation. If my dog just one day, as I was just chilling on the couch and they were like chilling at my feet, they told them like, hey yo broski, we're trying to get some food, I'd be like it's just like I'd be jumping to get the life out of it. But once again, this is a world of magical creatures. Monsters can speak, or animals can speak from time to time, so I guess that's why this girl is only excited. Though once again, I wonder how old she is, like mentally. Because sure, she spent all this time in Camelot, and the brother seems to recognize her as nothing different. But since she hasn't aged at all, unlike the brother, even though she doesn't have any formal education or anything like that, has she mentally aged? Has she been called this entire time? I don't know. Because, like, she seems childish. And she does something strangely childish, as we see Svan say, you must serve me, girl. Svan, what serving is she going to do to you? Serve you what? Why? What were you expecting her to do? And that's my what was the plan? What was the play, Svan? Let me know. What was it? Give me the playbook. What was the play? With that being the case, we see that the girl does not care about any of that servitude stuff, as she, I'm not sure if accidentally or purposely. Are you even if the nose of the horse was that big? Which I don't know. I think I've like interacted with horses like 3 times in my life. Literally 3 times. I think I've only been like within 2 feet of a horse or 5 feet of a horse, or whatever my like actual perception ability is. Like I think I've only been like in range of horses like 3 times in my entire life. So I don't know. But like even if, for all my people out there who love horses, are you sticking your fist in their nostril? Even if it was a unicorn or like a Pegasus or something. Like if you ran into one of those things, are you really just gonna? Are you just gonna put your fist in there? Why? I don't know. That just seems so weird. I get a child doing that because like they wouldn't know any better, which makes me wonder: does this girl age? She's tangible because she can be touched and physically interacted with, unlike the illusion that Arthur mentioned that he could make but wouldn't have any tangibility. So this girl does exist somewhat, but she's not aging. I don't know. Intriguing. Very, very intriguing, if I do say so myself. But with this being the case, we see that Svan requests, stop sticking your arm up my... And he sneezes and he's back to normal. I don't know how that one works though. Like did the magical carrot just time it perfectly with his sneeze? Did like his snot contain the like? I don't know why he reverted here. It leads to a funny gag and a cool moment later, but like in context of the universe itself, I don't know why he reverted here. Did she like go in there and reach the carrot out, or was this like, once again, how much of this girl is generally this girl, and how much of this is just a project of chaos that's meant to keep certain Britannian folks here for an extended period of time? Because it doesn't seem oddly strange that the moment she sticks her hands up in there, the magic of one of the 4 knights is instantaneously canceled out. But once again, I'm likely just reading too much into it. Well, when I got the pencil, where I overread everything. But with that being the case, we see that Svan, no longer Sylvanan, at least not in his peak prime form. He's back to his regular base state. And we see that the girl asks the most derogatory question, but I suppose it is a relatively accurate one. You turn into a pig? which is pretty, like, I mean, pigs do look fundamentally different, but like the short stature, the stoutness, the short legs, the chunk on the body, like if it wasn't for the neck and head, if you were to just like put a pig face right here, I would buy it. He'd just be a pig with a really bushy tail. It's sad. Would that be the case, we see Svan realize, no, I'm back to normal again. Oh, that's gotta be sad. That's gonna be so sad. I don't know, man. It's Svan with his wing form is the same way I feel about Full Wing's King Dog. Like, fine, I get why there's a balancing metric to it. It would be kind of unfair if it didn't have one, but like, man, why couldn't it just be? Why couldn't it just be permanent, dog? Why couldn't it just be permanent? Because, like, everyone else got it. Why did Svan stay exactly the same? Except for when he's off the magical sauce. But with that being the case, we do get to see that with the interrogation being done by Anne and the guy not falling over, or his lack of denial, or his affirmation that he's not working for Arthur being set in stone, she's like, okay, fine, whatever, you're good, we'll take you over, which is nice. She essentially just vetted him real quick, and that's good. I think Anne is kind of the perfect, she is, not even kind of, she's the perfect person for vetting, well, I guess maybe Lance, if you ask a question. So Lance and Anne, they're kind of the two that are perfect for interrogations like this, and for, I guess, like, loyalty or trust checks, because without them, I mean, you could still do it, you could still definitely run them, but it would probably be much more of a hassle, I'd assume, trying to get those ones off consistently, at least, without knowing that maybe someone's lying. Like, Donnie wouldn't be able to do a lie detector test, as well as Anne or Nasiens. Not Anne or Nasiens. I'm sorry, I got Nasiens on the mind, as Anne or Lancelot. And we see that with this declaration being made, note what she says. I'll take you over. And the guy says, can we do it right now? Right away, please. My sister and I are needed there.
Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. Hey, buddy. I got a little problem about that, Bronco, buddy.
We got a little bit of an issue about that part, you see? Due to the nature of the thing and the swanging things, we can only take one here. And I mean that both literally and figuratively. Because we see that Anne of the Four Knights of the Ababalaba, well, not of the Four Knights, but working under the Four Knights, makes a certain statement. Stay hydrated, folks. Very, very important. Make sure you drink your water. But with that being the case, we see that Anne is very blunt about it. She's about the business. And she says, no, I will only take you. And the older brother naturally goes, what? Your sister needs to stay here. She perished once, and you later found her in Camelot, right? Now, I want to put the big listener. Yo, I don't know why this is. I guess because it's literally just an echo chamber, but it always feels so weird to me whenever I do this. But like, I want y'all to put the big listeners on for this one. She perished. Oh, this is Anne. She perished once, and you later found her in Camelot, right? Anything born here needs to stay here. That's the rule we follow. So, this is very, 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 very vague. So there are questions. One, we know this sister in one way, shape, or form is a construct of Camelot, and Camelot exclusively. It's not as if the younger brother brought over the body. It's not as if anything happened unique here. No. It's very specifically that she was created here. Now, we don't know the full depths of Arthur's abilities. We have an idea. Remember, Chaos just thought gods into existence. The Supreme Deity, the Fairy Tree, the Demon King. They were just thoughts of Chaos, and they literally created worlds of their own. And Arthur should have access to all that power. He absorbed Cath again, but who knows? But with that being the case, this girl, based on her physical interactability, her ability to touch and grab and hold on to, this girl is real. Hold on. I leave too far. We're going back into the sky. This girl is real. In the same way that Svan is, in the same way that Anne is, in the same way as the boy is. But there are unique things about her. For one, she likely is not the original. Any ideas of Arthur hypothetically, diving into the capital of the dead and retrieving the souls or the remnants of the souls of people who perished in Britannia in order to make these people, highly unlikely. I do think it is sort of a memory thing where Arthur goes in and forges, but then again, how much of it is Arthur? Arthur's activity and conscientious actions with his abilities and the realms are really, really mysterious in of themselves. But Anne just says that's the role we follow. She doesn't necessarily say that they would disappear if they left Camelot. But with the idea of that being established, it leads to a question. So, this girl is certifiably not real, as she was born and or created in Camelot. But remember, the brother of our main character, brother as in the person who was originally supposed to be Percy, Diodra, he was born in Camelot, but I think he's still fully real and not a pseudo, because there are levels to reality here in this one. There are the levels to reality in Camelot. Because, look at it this way. Diodra has aged in his original body up to the point of 16. We see this based on the fact that he was a baby, he's now no longer baby. But we see this girl who was simply recreated in Camelot seemingly over a decade ago, has not aged, has not done anything, but is still tangible. So there seems to be levels to it. The most basic ability of Arthur is the one to create illusions. And the issue that Arthur has with those illusions, as he established during Guinevere's introduction to him and the reveal of Faux Merlin, illusions are the lowest level. And the thing that Arthur doesn't like about them is because you cannot touch. You cannot communicate with them or anything like that. The next level is transmogrification, or maybe some sort of evolved illusion where you make something look like something else. We see this is what happened with the Faux Merlin, and when Arthur defeated it or slayed it, it went back to its regular fairy state. So there's that level of it. Then there appears to be the level of reality that the girl seems to be on, where she is real, she is tangible, but only within the bounds of Camelot, presumably. And also she cannot age, meaning she cannot progress past the point where she was born. Whether that means just physically or mentally is yet to be seen, just due to how childish this girl seems to be. But once again, she was likely raised with no conventional education and a very weird circumstance, with no mother or father figure. So there's that as well. And then there seems to be the highest level of reality, Diodra, who is tangible, isn't an illusion, can feel, can think, has own independent thoughts, and can exist only in Camelot, just like all the lower levels of illusion. But while they can only exist in Camelot, they can still age and even desire to see the real world. So I'm not sure what would happen to Diodra if he left Camelot, but I'm assuming what would happen to the girl if she had tried to leave Camelot is that she would disappear. Her life force is instinctively tied to the realm. It's kind of like how... Are we far enough out that I can spoil WandaVision? I think we can. Spoilers for WandaVision. Spoilers for WandaVision. Run away if you don't want those. Well, just leap like 3 minutes ahead into the video if you don't want WandaVision spoilers. But for WandaVision, if you remember the Hex, the kids of Wanda and the Vision copy himself could not leave Westfield. Why? Because their existence was inherently tied to the Hex around Westfield. And whenever they went to leave it or go beyond it, suddenly everything got worse for them and they started to break down. When the Hex was destroyed, so were Wanda's kids, all that. And I think it's a similar case to the girl and any other chaos creations like her. Like the husband we saw last chapter. I think if they tried to leave Camelot, they would immediately perish. But the question is, why can't Arthur just make real people? Is this a failsafe that he built in himself in order to keep people from wanting to leave? Or is this an inability? Because I don't want to immediately chalk it up to inability, because once again, Arthur has made, well, not Arthur, but Chaos has made real tangible people who can exist in Britannia, and he's taking pieces from Britannia anyway. So the questions of like how much illusion stuff works, how much doesn't, how much tie and control Arthur has over versus how much he doesn't, how much everything, it's all up in question. And the reason I wonder the nature of this girl, and I want Anne to ask her a question, is because, sure, the brother isn't affiliated with Camelot in any way, shape, or form, but the sister is. And notably, the sister does seem to be a tie that's trying to keep her brother in Camelot, to the point where at first she's asking, where are we going? To the second being like, let's go back to the house. To everything, she's kind of built to keep the guy there. But the question is, how much of that is auto-programmed? How much of that is Arthur realizing, okay, someone's on the verge of rebelling. Let me make sure a Chaos Knight is there to go take care of it. Let me make sure something. I wonder how much control or influence or knowledge Arthur has over these pseudo-creations of life. Though, with that being the case, we see that the guy realizes, so you're saying we'd leave her here? How can you be so cruel? And of course, Anne is like, let me really, Broski. Not me. King Arthur's the cruel one for creating this world of illusions, lies, and dreams. And hey, in a way, right? Because like, Camelot does sound real neat. I like permanent happy living, nice family situation, all that good. It sounds so nice. It sounds so sweet, so good, so juicy. Just, it sounds so good. It sounds too good to be true. That's my thing. It sounds a little bit too buttery, a little bit too juicy to be as it is with so little consequence. That's the only reason I'd be questioning it. But I was gonna get on this guy, but I can understand why he has a reaction like this. Don't badmouth him like that. He let me be with my sister again. Sorry, this is what happens. You need to be able to read the entire line before you start speaking. But he let me be with my sister again. I owe him so much. Then why are you trying to leave? Why are you trying to leave? Where are you going? Where are you going? Your mom? Who needs your mom? You're with your sister again, right? That's the main thing that matters, right? Huh? You don't love your mama that much, clearly. Or else you'd be willing to leave and accept the help that you've been so readily offered. But no, bro. No, you want your sister back. And only your sister. So stay. Stay, since Arthur's done so much for you. Since Arthur's brought you here and saved you. Brought you a beautiful life. Let him stay, Anne. Let him realize, as he grows older and older and older, and as he goes all the way to his deathbed, let him realize, as his sister smiles at him as he passes away, that ultimately he should have taken your offer all those years ago and escaped this world of illusions and lies. But of course, Anne would never do that because she's a better person than I. And we see he doesn't just stop here. He goes so far beyond to say, why don't you stop acting like a bunch of fools and give up your fight? You'll just follow in the footsteps of Percival, that knight of prophecy. Now, this is admittedly I once again, I get it in the sense that is a genuine emotional reaction you have. Like, imagine putting yourself in this guy's shoes. You've been reunited for over a decade at this point with the one person you want to see more than anything in the world. And then this person, who admittedly did just save your life, comes in and is like, hey, yeah, I can take you out of this place that restored you or reunited you with the person you really want to be with, but we can't bring that person with you if you want to go back to the actual world. I know it seems so specific, but hey, that's how it is. And then they told you that. They gave you that ultimatum. Of course you'd be a bit nettled. Just a teeny tiny bit nettled. So I can understand why he has such a explosive outburst reaction. But, like, dude, you were getting got not 5 seconds ago for wanting to do the exact same thing. You wanted to leave. Admittedly with your sister, I'll give you that. But it's not like Anne's doing this out of any sort of malice. It's very clear that she cares about you enough to save you. So the fact that you are being just a little bit rude about it, not necessarily my thing, bucko. I do gotta say that. And like, dude, if they did stop acting like a bunch of fools, the next time you got the urge to go and try and leave Camelot to go get your mama with your sister, you would have been got instantaneously. You would have been got right now. So him being so rude is kind of crazy. Especially like saying maybe he'll just end up like your homie Percy. Like, that's what, like, I know Arthur was so happy to start spreading that propaganda. He'd be like, hey, yo, How did Percy get got? Oh, well, he got himself. So don't tell him that. Don't go all around and tell him that Mortlock of the whatever, of the Deadly Seven, the whatever I call the knockoff Seven Deadly Sins, that little night group. You go tell him that Mortlock got that boy up out of here. Go spread that propaganda. I know he was so happy because that was the end of the prophecy in his mind. Oh, obviously, we have more series. Percy's not actually permanently cooked. With that being the case, we see that Anne says, "Do not ring him up. Do not ring him up by his neck. Don't do it. Don't do it. Don't do it, Anne. Don't do it." Percival didn't lose to anybody, which is true. He absolutely watched Mortlock. He chose to sacrifice himself to protect his companions. And this right here may just be my favorite line in the entire chapter. I don't know if it was the right move, but I can assure you of one thing. You won't find a knight purer and more caring than that boy. I'd suggest you'd quit bad-mouthing him, young man. Which makes me wonder, how old is this guy? Ain't like 18? I don't know, he looks like an adult. But what I love, it's not the stop talking down on him or anything like that. It's the I don't know if it was the right move. Percy abandoning them. If you don't remember, way back, I say way back, in 128, I was admittedly just a teeny tiny itty bitty little. I was a little bit nettled, just a little bit nettled at Percy being so stupid. Because I'm sorry. I get it's an emotional thing. I understand the character reasoning behind why he made that decision, 100%. But I'm sorry. Idiotic, stupid, dumb. Like there's no other way to put that notion, at least in my mind. And of course, I'm approaching it entirely separated from a higher dimension, looking at this as a piece of fiction. So of course, my quote unquote giga mental super IQ brain is going to be more prepared to analyze the statements in the scenario. So of course, I'm going to view it as stupid because he abandoned all his friends and put all Britannia at risk because of people he could never bring back in a life he could never live. Sorry, too late, man. You lived your 16 years. Ironically, by doing what he did, he spat in the face of Varghese' sacrifice. In every way, shape, and form. Percy, that was like and that's why I don't blame people for still being mad at Percy directly and like that was super out of character. Because in a way, like there's a clear interpretation. Varghese told Percy to live a happy life with many friends. What did Percy do? Abandon all of his friends and doom the entire world. Those two are not the same. So, like, I get why people are so mad at that. And your boy was nettled with it, too. I fully understand it from a character writing level, but, like, on a use your brain level, it's absolutely stupid to me. But, with that being the case, I love how Anne, who, next to Nasiens, and, like, I guess Donnie, is, like, the biggest supporter of Percy and his ideology and his goals. Remember when Nasiens was talking about how Percy's kindness in a way could probably end up getting one of them severely hurt, if not executed. And was like, well, that's just Percy. That's just how he is. So we knew what we signed up for. We signed up with a net case, so let's just do it. I love how Anne of all people is like, I really don't know if it was the right decision. Because she has good reason to think that. Even if she doesn't feel betrayed and or abandoned by Percy, which, at least in my opinion, would be a valid feeling to have, considering that's literally what happened. Even through all the love and care and respect that she clearly still has for Percy, she knows that he may have messed up. He may have doomed them all and made a selfish choice that, as far as they know, they cannot take back. They have been left to fulfill the prophecy of 4 nights without the fourth night. And I do like that. It goes to show that characters in the narrative aren't just going to blindly follow or support RMC. Even in their own way, even through their love and support for him, they're going to question him, going to question his logic. And I assume once Percy returns, the first question pretty much everyone's going to have for him is, why did you do that? Why did you leave us behind for 2 whole years? He says, I can see it and smell it. I don't know. That's how I feel. But with that being the case, we see that as these two have this stare down and this understanding between them of their different sides and ideologies and what they really believe in versus what they don't believe in, they don't have much time for that. As Nasty McStuffins decides to show his ugly little face again and grab the sister. So I guess maybe the sister isn't, I don't know. Maybe the sister doesn't serve Arthur at all, but it just feels it's a little bit suspicious. But with that being the case, we see the thing go. This was so much easier to do when I didn't have a microphone, or like I didn't have a camera in front of me. I just had a mic, because I can make the weird sounds of the mic without actively seeing it, but like, I look at this every day. But with that being the case, we see that Svan makes the obvious yet important distinction that it's still alive, which is kind of funny to me. Like, did it really get knocked out with its back crack, and it just was like, oh, I'm conscious. Oh, I'm conscious. Oh, I'm conscious. And then immediately went to go attack? I don't know. With that being the case, we see that the man is like, let go of her. And we see that the thing is like, no. She just doesn't do anything. As the girl yells, big bro. And Anne, about the business, she gets the pokey poke and just starts going, and uses Squall Stinger to pierce multiple holes in the thingamajig. And the thingamajig goes, and then it falls. Or at least it drops the girl, which the brother catches, and then they hop on Svan. Admittedly, considering what's revealed here, and while this thing was reeling in pain, you probably should have just fed Svan a magic carrot here. But for what happens as a result of that not happening, I'll take it. Because we see, so poor Svan, he hasn't gotten in any more shape. Those performance enhancers, bro, they've been carrying Svan, I won't lie. And she says, get on! And they ride on Svan. Now, of course, Svan could probably barely handle Anne's weight and moving at any decent speed with those short little legs. But of course, a whole other full-grown man and his little sister is probably going to be a little bit too much. And we see not just the thing itself is still alive, but the Chaos Knight that I kept giving like 27 different voices is also still alive. As it says, my lord, I found a rebel. Come here at once. Oh, I can't feel my spleen. And this thing's so nasty. It's like slapping against the ground as it chases. Oh, it's just disgusting. But it's slapping against the ground as it chases them, which is so funny that Sylvan's able to outrun this thing. And we see the man asks, where'd this horse's wings go? And why are its legs so short? And Anne mentions that he can't fly without the magic carrots in my back, which I want to thank y'all in the comment section on the spoiler discussion for confirming that is Gawain. Gawain makes magical carrots, which does, at least to me, soft confirm that Gawain is also still fine. Just not currently traveling with the group, which makes sense. Once again, I feel like if there's any of our crew that can kind of do solo invasions, we see they have a rule later, which means they most likely don't do solo invasions. But if there's any like trio that could, it would likely be Gawain, because she can just teleport out of any dangerous situation as long as they don't get her off guard. Could be Tristan. He has Demon Mark to rely on, and destroying a whole bunch of Camelot is destroying a whole bunch of Camelot. That's just like a natural progression. And then, I poked myself. No. You sharp darn thing. How dare you? At least I didn't cut myself too badly. But with that being the case, and Lance, because like no one's stopping Lance, especially a 2-year time skip Lance. Rose gain's got to be through the roof again. But with that being the case, we see that even Sylvan is like, oh, this thing's so disgusting. I hear it slapping, slapping the earth. And we see that the man is like, so cast some magic and execute this guy. And Anne admits another weakness to her ability. It only works if it understands human speech. So don't speak a different language than Anne, or else you're just entirely immune to her magic. Once again, as Interrogator gets buffs, it keeps getting nerfed, but I think against the main people that Anne is going to be fighting, like other people who speak, presumably her magic is just fine. I'd say the fact that she can just ask questions and just withholding information is more than enough to activate it. I think that's still very, very good. And we see the thing, to quote Star Wars, The Rise of Skywalker, they fly now! They fly now! I love both of those actors. I forget both of their names, though. He plays Miguel in Spider-Verse. I forget what else. He's also the Finn from Star Wars is also in Woman King, but he plays a very minor role in that. He's the king in Woman King. But what are the names? I'm just gonna look up their names. I'm gonna look at their names. I do want to give both of them their respect. What is it? Poe Dameron. Why do I know? He's Moon Knight? Oscar Isaac. Oscar Isaac is... He's Miguel, he's Poe Dameron, and he's Moon Knight, I do believe. Yep, Oscar Isaac. And then... Finn. Star Wars actor. What's his name? John Boyega. How did I forget John Boyega? He has such an iconic name. Boyega? Come on. But yeah, two fantastic actors. And to quote their most infamous line from that movie, they do in fact fly now. And they also do got the spagooter built into the tail as it goes. And Svan, my goat, he's dodging lightning. He's dodging electricity. Yet the verse is still not FTL. But with the big, well, obviously that's different. But like, still, look at my boy Svan dodging these lightning blasts. Very, very impressive. It doesn't even look like he's spot dodging either. He's just weaving. And we see a certain Chad takes center stage as he goes, "The heck are you doing?" And we see Anne is shocked to see the ground start lifting due to a beefy boy. And the sky has brought him to the air. And Anne immediately critiques the main man, the Donners. Look at this. Look at them lifted up. And look at the main man, the with just one arm. He's just like, look at it. He did that to Flex. He's like, hold on, y'all see the times get beef? You'll see the time. Oh, you got the angles right now. You got the angles. Right. I have literally no tricep. No tricep definition at all. But you got the bicep, the tricep. Yeah, all right, you got that good. And we see the Donners does perform Lift the Magic, showing how much stronger he's gotten with his telekinesis. And we see that Donnie immediately is like, come on, Ann, I really just saved your butt. And now you're going to critique me? Really? And as someone pointed out to me, he still does have his little dagger, which is so sweet. I do love that. And I do love his post-time skip design. Once again, it is kind of just Hauser. Like this is just Hauser. Like I'm not even gonna. It is basically Hauser with dark hair, and like a shield on the arm and a dagger instead of a full blown sword. But Hauser had a really good design in the original series, so I'm not going to complain. And like the shirt is different. Like I think Hauser had like a more like uniform tank top. Meanwhile, Donnie has the exaggerated V-neck tank top. So it still works different enough. And once again, if you haven't read the original series, and heck, even if you have read the original series, it's been a long time since we've seen. Well, actually, no, we saw. So that's the thing. Hauser actually didn't change that much. He just has some stubble. So this is just Hauser. But with that being the case, we see that Anne says, "Well, it's your fault for wandering off by yourself. That is always tells us when exploring Camelot, work in groups of 2 or more." So that is 2 little nice things there. One, Thetis gets another mention, which does, I like how Naka was actually keeping that promise he set up in Seven Deadly Sins. Derriary's reincarnation isn't just some random character. They are a background character for the most part. Thetis hasn't done much, but the fact that Thetis is being used as often as they are and being referenced as often as they are, very, very nice. That's Derriary's reincarnate, and Derriary is a character who definitely got done dirty in the original series for the most part in terms of their screen time and viability and overall power scaling. So I'm happy that they get something later on. And 2, what was the second thing? Oh, traveling groups of 2 or more. So Thetis is helping them organize and discover their exploration of Camelot, which is very, very nice. Another thing that's very, very amazing for Donnie, he doesn't drop the landmass. They just stay floating. And Donnie doesn't even, like, he's gotten so good with his magic that he's not only just able to lift this landmass, but not even focus on it. He can just passively maintain his telekinesis like this, which is a very big buff for Donnie. Like, that's very, very good. Like, imagine him lobbing that at somebody. He's already Diane level. With that being the case, I'm kidding. But with that being the case, we see that the main reason that Donnie left on his own was he had to take a dump. Because, you know, hey, when the dump calls, the dump calls. I don't blame him. There are times when the dump calls, you just gotta drop everything and go. And with that being the case, we see that Donnie asks, "So, what are these 2? Looking to return, or do we gotta fight him?" And we see Anne be like, "Oh, yeah, I kind of forgot they were here. Yeah, but it's a bit complex. I'll explain it to Thetis later." So, the return process is a bit complicated for this guy because he wants to keep his sister. But I just say, hey, if he wants to stay, let him stay. And we see that the brother's like, but do you really know how to get back to Britannia? Because I don't see any path at all. Just those weird holes dotted here and there. And look at all these different holes, all the different chaos holes. Imagine what's in the chaos holes. What that mean? Oh, they're literally called chaos holes. That's a funny thing. But I do like this little interaction here and looking at the guy, but Svan loving Donnie, just looking him up. That's so sweet. I do like that. And we see that we get an explanation of what these holes are and an interesting exploration on what Camelot is as a whole. Let's put on the Donner's voice. So, those holes connect between the spaces created by Arthur. Spaces, plural. We call them chaos holes. There are like 15 different jokes on that name alone. I won't make one for now. They will haunt the rest of the series. But with this being the case, so dive in and we're home then? Nope, it ain't that easy. You can't travel directly to Britannia via Chaos Holes. They only connect the spaces within Camelot, and they're all random too. So, multiple things here. Number one, Camelot in of itself is seemingly a multi-structured pocket dimension, in the sense that there is an overall space, an overall group of realms that you can call Camelot, but even still, within that general realm space called Camelot, there are miniature realms within them. And these all are their own individual spaces, as Donnie notes. These are the separate spaces created by Arthur, which does imply two things. One, they do all run on the same time flow, which is interesting. And two, they are all interconnected by these portals. So Arthur does seem to have some sort of means of metric and logic for where he's placing certain people and certain things, which is interesting. I wonder how that's going to work. I wonder how Arthur's maintaining this. And naturally, the thing I wonder with this little chaos supercluster of spaces, how big are they? I was told in the spoiler discussion of the comments that on this chapter, the chapters that I read and review, they don't have the Q&A questions on them. But apparently, in the Q&A questions, Nakaba said there was a starry night sky in Camelot. Camelot, the separate space that Arthur created. There's a starry night sky. Nakaba. Oh, you teasing me. You tickle me, my boy. Don't get me excited now, Nakaba. I haven't seen it myself. I actually need to look into that. But if that's it, we setting it up. We set it up. For the longest time, I was more than happy to take Planetary. Then I was pushing it up to Star once Cursed by Light came out. And then, because of the chaos creating the entire world, quote unquote, I was down with Solar System. With a little bit of Wang and some Sacred Treasure multipliers. But if you want to give me galaxy level? Oh, a whole starry sky? Don't give me uni. Don't genuinely give me some uni for that. Don't do it. Don't do it. Especially after you had so many characters scaled to Arthur. Don't tell me you want uni Lance running around, multi-galaxy Lance. I'll throw him against Bleach right now. Don't do it, Nakaba. Don't do it. But let's see. So though that is interesting, the chaos holes themselves are random enough that the group needs to come and explore them and get them mapped out before actually doing anything, which is very, very interesting. Though I still do wonder, why does Arthur need Britannia if he can make so many separate spaces? Or is the reason that these so many separate spaces are separate spaces in the first place is because Arthur can't maintain one overall one? Questions. Oh, questions. But these unfortunately have to be questions for later. As we see, Donnie and Ann notice. Oh, great. More of them while I'm talking? Well, here we go. And the knight that has appeared from the thunderous clouds of another chaos hole is the Green Knight. I don't know his name. I forget his name already. But this chapter was some straight gas on every single level. Once again, further plot development, let's go through it real quick. And let's just talk about everything that was important in this chapter and why I like it so much and why it is indubitably worthy. So, number one. I do like the conflict of Anne on this cover page. But I do like the conflict and the establishment that Arthur has been spreading propaganda throughout Camelot, even in these outer realms of his, to the point where people know of the Four Knights of the Apocalypse and their teams and know them as rebels, usurpers, deserters, troublemakers. He's not just sitting on his hindquarters. Sure, he took forever to get their visual information out there, but in terms of setting his people, whether they be Britannian in origin or Camelotian in origin, is that a word? Camelotian? Whatever. But Camelotian in origin, he's setting them against them with just ideas and propagandas of them being rebels, traitors, all the stuff like that. I like how the implications of the Cauldron of Offwin are mysterious, but unspecified, meaning it could be a whole bunch of things. I love how it's sad. I love how we kind of may know where Nasiens is in the Cauldron, and we may have a whole little mini arc around saving him and the implications that that could have. And I do also love how the group is still locked in on destroying Camelot, and yet people they aren't trying to be superheroes. They're trying to still play it safe and make sure they save only people who are not affiliated with Arthur. I like how Svan has access to a Chad form, even if it's only through the form of magical carrots. I do like the mystery that's going on with how the world functions and how the Camelotian creations function and stuff like that. And I do like how Arthur's brainwashing and offering of this beautiful, peaceful, perfect world is making people who would never speak like this before speak like this now, insult people that they don't know anything about, and overall critique the Four Knights for trying to ruin their perfection, their world. And of course, I do love seeing Anne still have sword techniques. I love the Donner's return, and I love that we're about to get a battle between the Chaos Knight and the Percival platoon. I'm very, very excited. So if you somehow made it all the way to the end of this video, please leave the levitator. Is that even a word, levitator? Yeah, if it is a word, spell it however you want. Leave the levitator in the comment section down below. I like to thank you guys so much for watching. Once again, please remember to leave a like, share, comment, and subscribe, and make sure you hit that little notification bell so you do not miss out on any videos that come to the channel. Also, I do happen to have a Patreon down below where you can support me for as low as $1 a month. Get things like exclusive videos, early content, and more. You can also now become a member of the channel for as low as $3 a month to get the same perks and more. Some of those perks include the live reaction to this very chapter. Now, I'd like to thank you guys so much for watching once again, and I hope you guys have a wonderful day. This is Dagger the Pencil, writing off. I'd like to give a thank you to our $3 members, Recliner Plays, Red Wolf 4765, Greyhound, and Akid's Void. And I'd like to give another thank you to our $5 patrons, Victor, Sean, Midnight Gemlord, Kevin, DemXLND, and Igneal. And I'd like to give a chunky old thank you to our $7 member, Autumn's Morning Lazo. And I'd like to give another chunka thank you to our $10 patrons, Robbie Uchio, Joaquin, Idemokami, and China Doll 09. I'd like to give a tractor thank you to our $25 member, Alex Ice Rose. I'd like to give another giga gargantuan thank you to our $25 patron, Calvin Elder.